Now, Fox 35 News.
A Fox 35 follow-up for you. An Orange County grand jury says the 137 shots fired by Orange County deputies that killed an accused professional car thief were all justified. The state attorney said that Tory Breedlove pretended to surrender. That is after deputies pinned him with their vehicles and then fired more than 30 rounds at the GMC Denali that he was driving. But when deputies approached the suspect to arrest him, he apparently hit the gas a second time, and the force was enough to drive a sheriff's truck backward.
He was armed with a multi-thousand-pound motor vehicle, and there was nothing but a few feet between him and the deputy sheriffs.
That's when deputies fired another 100 rounds at Breedlove, killing him. The suspect's family members are now calling that decision unfair and say they will not accept this outcome. Joining us now live in the newsroom to offer some perspective on this decision about excessive force is former Police Chief Richard Weinblatt. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Nice to see you again.
You too. Let's talk about this. 100 shots fired would roughly amount to 15 deputies emptying out their weapons into their car. Would this not at least, at the very least, be dangerous for any people that are in this area with that kind of action?
Well, the problem is that you're dealing with a situation that happened in a split second, and the deputy's training, and the law says, and there's lots of case precedent in this in the U.S. Supreme Court, such as Graham versus Connor, that says that deputies and police officers have to judge something at the information they have at the time based on objective reasonableness, and they did that. They reacted in a split second to defend themselves as the law allows.
So what would the training be then? I know I have a brother and a brother-in-law who are both law enforcement, and they say that, you know, when they're in that situation, you can't judge because you do have that split second to decide, and you're trained to shoot and kill. So what is the decision then? Do you just fire off one shot, or do you empty out your gun? What's the training? Well,
what you do is you keep firing until the threat of death or serious bodily injury to yourself or someone else stops. And as was mentioned in the package, the video package just a moment ago, he did not stop. They fired, they thought he stopped, they went to approach, he hit the gas again, as the state attorney said. So what are they supposed to do? They are supposed to continue to try to stop the threat because the deputies were just a few feet away. You know, what would you do in that situation? You're not going to sit there and reason with a multi-pound GMC Denali.
I would also think that when the grand jury is looking at this, they're also going to look at what decisions were made by each of the officers there. Did each and every one of them make the same decision and they all shot and fired? Well,
and see, that's a very good point, and I brought that up last night on the show as well, is that if it was just one deputy and they were all in the same vicinity and only one deputy fired, I'd sort of maybe question that. What did that deputy see that the others didn't? But the fact that 9 of them, all 9 came to the same decision in the same time frame, a split-second decision, makes me feel a little more comfortable that they all perceived it the same. They all reacted the same based on their training and experience. The grand jury saw it too, apparently.
Now, if a grand jury were to come down with a decision in another case or something like this to say it would be excessive, what would usually determine that kind of ruling?
What would determine that they decided it was excessive? If that they felt at the time that the deputies were not justified or they weren't able to articulate their belief that there was an imminent danger of death or serious bodily injury. And that's the thing. They had to look at what did they perceive at the time and was that reasonable given their training and experience. And apparently it was. And I don't always take the side automatically of law enforcement, as you guys know. But in this case, it looks like the grand jury made a good decision based on the information.
Tough decisions, I'm sure, in those split seconds they have to make. And Dr. Richard Weinblatt, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.